goofballs and weirdos and strangers and aliens and humans and gods and archons and whoever else might be here in the room. I don't have a lot of juice on my phone, but I wanted to get a few things out here. I've just been swamped with emails and people wanting to do one-on-ones. What up, Weeboo? And all sorts of questions, and thus the title of the video. If you had seen the initial screen, it's old James Dickey quote that in the beginning of one of Cannabis's albums, he says he takes this James Dickey quote, and it's, I think, when he's doing this amazing album where he it's called Poet Laureate, and he takes 4 tracks and overlays them over each other, that you can stop and play any one of these 4 tracks. It's like 12 minutes worth of him rapping, and you could stop it and start another one anywhere in there of 4 different tracks doing like thousands of bars, and anywhere in there whatever he says is going to make a lot of sense. Skepticism is interesting. Yeah, skepticism is quite a conundrum, huh? But then there's all of these other things that have been going on for me, just mentally, like things I've been researching, and it's been, some things have been clicking together, and rather than and it's even things I've done in the past, and rather than point people back to my old videos, I'd rather point you guys to some other people's channels, because I think they're more concise with the work, some of the specific things. And so I'm gonna show you guys a couple channels that y'all should look up, and then I'll give you a couple ideas. I don't know if I'm gonna get, I had this bigger idea that I wanted to share with everybody on triangles and the pyramids, and how pyramids are connected to fire, and what triangles are, and the 3 and 4 sided pyramids, because there was 4 sided pyramids, not 3. But I might save that for another day. We'll see if I can really get into it. But let me see if I can at least start you guys off with a channel that you all really need to check out, because this person's work is amazing, and it's kind of piggybacking Aaron Dover's work. I don't know if anybody knows who Aaron Dover is or was, or everybody's got their own theories on where people go and what they do, and if there was money involved, if there were just iced out of here, or if they're a part of the system. But if anybody's not familiar with Aaron Dover's work, AARONDOVER, he did some amazing things on where energy came from. And there's a lot of people, anybody working with the real thing, talking about where energy comes from and what it is, their work tends to be highly fought by $8 an hour people plaguing their information and cutting down their YouTubes and everything. But this person here, I'm going to show you guys. Let me see if I can flip this around. Here we go. Here's who you need to check out. Enslaved by No Media. And this will tell you, it's so funny. There's a couple things in here. I used to work at an airport, and I was like, how did I not notice this? And I guess because I didn't really know about yeah, you gotta check out those noses, because they have some noses. So I used to work in an airport, and once the first video I saw of this guy, and he was making this video about how airplanes can't possibly hold as much fuel as they tell you they do. And I just recall all of these airplanes and doing the math and just going, wow, this makes a lot of sense. So I highly suggest you check out some of these. And Firefang, which I don't know who's the kikes are you talking? Oh, you're talking about Aaron Dover, because he would always go off on that, huh? Yeah. So a couple of my favorite ones that he's done. If you guys want to get right to the simple stuff. Some of this, I mean, I'm not, again, no one's out here doing 100% proof positive work, but you know, I take information from where I get it, and while I don't agree with his largest theory that it's something to do with the Bible and everything, I do agree with all the work that he's doing, and it's really amazing. Get into maybe, oh, here you go, the Airbus wings and wheels and more breadcrumbs. If that one doesn't show you what you need to know, you should check out the Camaro and the A360. And everything, you know, a lot of what he's doing here, he's working off of flat Earth, and he's working off of, there's a few more that I would like to put you guys onto, which really get into where energy harvesting comes from and what it really is. And I tried to tiptoe around that in my earliest works and tried to explain it to people through the concepts of what the kings and queens and why they would have scepters and all of their jewelry, and I tried to break it down for people that way, but this really just streamlines it, and it gets into a few deeper things about how far we think distance is, and what power really, where powers really come from. And it really piggybacks on a work that I've done, and I've seen a lot of other people that are saying the same thing, and you know, getting into even, I'm gonna further a concept. I mean, I've already got the video and I already got it all done up, but it has to do with how the human body functions and how we're, you know, you think that's oxygen you're breathing, Neo? You think that's air? It gets a lot into like the breathing technology. I would call it a technology, the Wim Hof breathing method, even though, you know, the breathing goes back a lot farther, but what we're actually consuming and how our body actually functions. And I've done videos that touch on it, but I don't go into great detail and depth because I never really wanted my work to get so far out of, you know, into the abyss that no one would ever find any credibility or credence. I'd rather build that up and have an audience, so that way when I present it, it has a little more traction. So with that being said, the human body functions a little different than we've been led to believe, because you don't know how your body works. Nobody knows how cars works. We've been misled about where energy is coming from, and you know, I just think it has to do with the powers and the control, and really when you break down the false Illuminati and what illumination is about people that control where light comes from. These lights back here, and telling you where they got that power from and how you're actually collecting power. So a lot of these people that go on this long journey of explaining, okay, the power companies aren't what you think, nuclear power doesn't exist in the way that you think it does. Now, all of that's fine and dandy, but I've always done the work from let's step back, and we must realize the human body is how everything else is fabricated and formulated. The highest technology that we see outside of us is only a replication of what the organic human body does. And so when we start to backwards map the entire thing and start to look at what's going on outside of us, and then start to realize a little better about how the human body functions, we can look into the things some of my more popular videos are on hydrogen peroxide, oxygen, breathing methodologies, how the body, what we're really working with, what we're functioning on, going through the gradients of the levels of the realms, what it means to be an earth-bound, water-bound, liquid-bound, a mystic, and then air-bound. And so I think I have a long presentation that I've done in a lot of my earliest work, but I didn't, there was a couple key components that I didn't put in there. So hopefully you guys can check out his channel, and that will make a lot of sense for all of you. Hopefully that it does. For me, like, there's a couple things that I'm still kind of playing with what he's saying, but I dig his work. So you guys should check him out. I think he's pretty decent dude. And as well, obviously, Aaron Dover. I don't know what's really happened to his channel, but you can still find the information he put out there. They didn't lock it down like that. So, and there is some stuff that he wiles out. And I mean, I get it. Y'all seen me wild out before. Everybody gets in those modes. But Who else? There's a couple more that really deal with what we see as the sun and the moon. And I tried to explain that in one of my earliest videos on what the firmament, thank you Firefang, and what the firmament is and what it is above us. And like the sun and the moon really be sitting above the firmament, above the water, refracting through what we'd call the dome, which is also our eyeball. So our eyeball uses the similar concept that if you lie down on your back, think about the idea in all the movies, you lay down on your back and you look up at the sun and the moon and the stars. This is having the same effect where you have a flat lens, and that the middle part being the black part of your eyeball, where you're taking in all of the information in the center and that dome. But now if we take that dome and we think about what's around us, and then we multiply that and we just look at it in realms, that above that there's actually what people would call, like if you were to look at NASA's work and what they're claiming what's on the other realms that you can't get to unless you can get out of body, because you can't get to the other realms through a physical substrate. You can't get into a piece of material that was made of this earth and get outside of the dome. And so that's the idea. So there's some bigger things I want to get in there with you guys, but I think that this would be a key component for everyone understanding all of the practices of dream work, the dream world, what your whole experience is. Because again, this always comes down to this. I'm not selling shit to people, because this is your experience. It's about how do you have a better experience and manifest a reality that you'd like, and how to become, in my mind, it's how to become the God figure for your creation. And I think we all have a dome earth that we live under. I think we all live inside of and I think that while we're all here sharing universally in this place one collective dream force, we all each have one of these places individually that we are the king or queen of. I can't, obviously until you've been out of body, you can't really verify that, but I've been to places where that was what was occurring. I forgot who I was there, but they knew who I was. And I could levitate. I always levitate in dreams, and I'm always doing things that are people like, oh, they just knew I could do that, but they couldn't do it. So with all that being said, enjoy this guy's work, and then I'm going to also give you guys a couple more, I'll do a couple more videos, and in each one of them I'll give you a couple other people's work that I really, really like, and is a real good foundation for how to observe reality, what are you looking at, because I think we've been trained to look in an unprofitable way for ourselves, that we diminish our own senses, we diminish our own experience, and we diminish our own capacity too. Because the first thing, and this is where when you start to notice what's going on, the anger is built up. But once you get past the plateau of anger, then it's like freeing, because you get to a point of going, oh, my observation was only clouded by certain things. A lot of those things that I explained in the earliest videos of fasting and getting rid of salts and getting rid of getting rid of all the things that are clogging up. And as I just see Junior Smooth get in here, that is one of the things that are clogging up our portals. Things like that, things that, whether or not it existed, and whether or not it was a false flag, and whether or not it was whatever it might have been, those things start to clog up our portals, and then it gets inside. Whether or not it's still in your eyes and your ears, it's in your subconscious. So that way, if you go to bed tonight and all of a sudden you have a weird dream about something that has to do with something that was on TV, then you realize the impact of stealing on your imagination and pulling you to a place that has nothing to do with your best interest. Now, in the long run, it does, because then it will tell you, well, stop paying attention to these things, because these things aren't helping you. Things like, well, the media is telling us there's chemtrails now. That immediately is, to me, well, then it probably never was. They probably never were poisoning the air. Why would they poison the air if they're breathing it too? I've said that countless times in videos, and I've alluded to that, because I can't answer that for people, because I've never taken you know, I've never scooped up the thing and done well, is this actually coming out of the sky? Is the barium and everything else coming out of the sky? I don't know. I can tell there's something in the sky. So I've only tried to allude to that. We can certainly see. There's no discounting this here. We can look in the water and see the water is poisoned. But for them, and for you, it's the same thing. Well, go buy a distiller. Okay, now you're good. And if you really want to get hip to the whole thing, well, you're already your own human distiller. So in a lot of ways, the systems that are in place ask you to, as I get into the last video, the long video I made, is the systems ask you to verify for yourself what is the truth. And if you start cleaning yourself out, consuming distilled water and consuming your own water, then the verification for you don't have to slide any cards through other systems. You don't have to look without, as they say, the answers are within you. Well, if what's inside of you is the answer, apparently, so you can peer into, through your eyes and through the clarity of what's in your pee. I think there's an interesting, if you call it peer, P-E-E-R or P-E-I-R, the pier, you go to the end of the pier where the lighthouse is. There's some more allegory there just to play with, and I don't want to do all that right now, guys. But certainly the ideas here are always, again, to how to upgrade your own experience, whatever it might be. So it's hard to go over this all the time, because I feel like the way that I speak it is in my own unique way, and that hopefully that somebody else, because I've talked about this oftentimes too, that they can't hear through me. Some of you can, certainly, obviously, but hopefully this is something else that makes a lot of sense to you guys. And I'll get into a lot of my other favorite you know, and you guys can always go to my channel anyways. I mean, I'm pretty sure you all can see my subscribers list, and you can go check through them. I mean, not all of them are decent and legit, but I'm gonna see what you guys all had to say here and see if I can't turn this into a little bit of a conversation. But I don't have a lot of battery on this, so if this does turn into anything more, I'll have to get on my other computer here. But let me see what's going on here. So what up, Dimension Extensions? What up, Damien? Good to see you, man. What's up, Ray Nava? I just hit you up. And so I'm so terrible with the emailing and everything, man. It's just I'm not cut from that digital cloth, you know. But we will hook that up real soon, my friend. What's up, Christine Whitehead? Hey, Weeboo, yeah, but yeah, I hear you. Like, for me, it's the same thing. It's like the only reason we notice it now. What if we were to start to extrapolate back into our history, and we got into like 1980, you know, when you were growing up in the 80s and 90s, you would have, those same things were happening then in just a different way, because you weren't looking for it then, so you didn't notice it. But you know, we could start with, somebody had said the other day, like, the only reason we are ever able to fake going to the moon is because they had a television. So that goes into a lot of other stories of rich people, white people, and again, white, I don't mean white, but I just mean the less melanated, the coming from a different climate, their way of owning and regulating the population was through information. And so the first people that had TVs, they were not poor. So the rich, just like if we go farther back, only the rich could read. Only the rich could read a book. So books had a certain level of knowledge that people that couldn't read had no access to. Some of it good, some of it bad, some of it different. But then we got to the TV, and only rich people had TVs. Now something completely different has happened. Now rich people don't watch TV. In fact, they know better. And poor people always have TVs. Poor people love TV. And then they succumb to things that we've been talking about here, which is, and it's always on the local channels that everybody can access. If you got local access channels, it's giving you the LCD, the lowest common denominator of information, to control your perception of reality. And by that, they're controlling your emotions, and that emotion changes the flux of how you interact with the world, and how much of an impact you can have of changing things. And it really, really does. People have to start, again, as I try to help people with this one idea, is it's everyone tells you to go out there and help everyone else out, but you can't do that until you do it for yourself first. Until you're capable of doing anything to any degree to help yourself, because this is your experience. Like, so as soon as you start doing that, then you can build a larger dome, a larger area, a larger aura, a larger auric field, more what you'd call resonance coming out of your body. The electromagnetic field, which is producing resonance, which comes out of your mind, which is how you see the world, pulsing your little pineal gland and start producing biophotonic units out of your eyes to create a resonance around you. I mean, again, this doesn't, as I go off on people with the love and light bullshit, I mean, they're giving you a bit of the truth. It's getting to that direction. Because in the Interman, you don't just go and everything's perfectly fine and I'm love and light, because it can't happen that way, because you're already full of, as I've always pointed out, you're full of shit. Everyone's full of shit until you get rid of what's literally physical in the way of your body, and which leaks in. It literally leaks into your brain, and we start making connections and clogging up our vision and clogging up our sight. So yeah, weeboo, I just, those kind of things, I see it, and it's kind of like, I think, having a pulse on that only gives people that can see through the fabricated reality the ability to talk to people that see that and not get drowned into that. We try to avoid it in the sense of, that's not helping us. That doesn't help me, and it doesn't help you, but it helps us in the sense that then we have something to talk to someone else about. And can we alleviate them from seeing that and hearing that and thinking that's actual fact? Kind of like, if you know something about sports, then that's an inlet into their mind and what they perceive in the world. So that allows a bridge to be built. Hey, Eli Jen, you haven't been wearing contacts. There was a short story for you, Eli Jen, about a really interesting experience where I met this really magical chick at a concert in the park in New Orleans, and we had met before, but she was like, "Oh, you don't remember meeting me?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, you look familiar." And then then I remember who she was. And then we started talking about birthdays and things, and she guessed my birthday and I guessed hers, which was super crazy. And then we'd hung out a little bit, and one time she was at my house, and when she left my house, she goes, "Man, where are my glasses? Did you take them from me?" And I didn't take them from her, but there were some other magic things that happened, like very magical things. Like I was teaching her about a few things to do with crystals and energy work and things, and then she's like, "Did you take my glasses from me?" I was like, "No." But then every time I'd see her, she's like, "My eyesight is getting so much better," because she took her contacts off, but she kept just insisting. She's like, I know you took my glasses. I know you took my glasses so I could see better, because I was telling her about it. Like, if you take those out, start putting some urine in your eyes, do all these things, that it will clean up your vision and your eyesight. You're just giving yourself a crutch. And that then I hadn't seen her for a long time, and like, I talked to her, a few months ago, and she's like, my eyesight, like, I still haven't found my glasses. I know you took them. I was like, I really didn't, but she's like, my eyesight is so much better. She's like, I could see almost 20/20 now, because she stopped relying on her contacts. What up, Robert Souza? What up, Brian Brinks? Well, thank you, Brian Brinks. I appreciate that, man. Never seen you around, but obviously I do appreciate it. What up, Living Waters? Unified code theory. I don't know what that means. hit me up on any of my other videos and let me know beneath, or send me an email and I'll check that out. Is that something of the same sense as, say, the TOE or the TOE is, the big toe, the theory of everything is? Or universal, the universal codes of packaging, the UPC codes? If you guys want me to keep kicking it with you, I'll get on my other computer and I'll start another one of these up. But as for everybody here that's not aware, my currency comes through this. So if anybody's got any, if you got a couch, or if you can go to your friend's house that had did that pothead and all the, when you're sitting there getting high, just reach in the cushions and find any change, and if you can remember, put that into your bank account, and then somehow funnel that to me somehow, so I got a couple dollars to drink beers. And if you can't do that much, at least take that change from that from the couch and give it to some homeless being or houseless being. And if you can't do that, feel free to give me a thumbs up and say, hey, I like what you're doing, because that does help get the information out there. And if you don't like me, tell me to find your most brilliant insults. I do appreciate them because I use them in my comedy act. Although I've been around insults my whole life, so I would be surprised if you could amaze me with some brilliant insult. But I'll take that too. Weeboo, thank you for saying that. I just got to where you said y'all should thumbs up before he acts. Yeah, I don't like to act, but I've always learned, there's two things that I've learned that are Baltimore, my Baltimore upbringing, from a couple of my more ghetto ass friends. One said, my mother always told me if I needed a nickel, ask for a dime, and the other one said, half a loaf is better than no loaves. And another one, just all these little bits and pieces of wisdom. You never get anything you don't ask for. I mean, that's kind of pretty much universal. So if you're gonna ask for something, ask for the most you can ask for, because you'll be surprised. Haha. Weeble, yeah, I like it. I dig it. You said the most blatant statement to you on how the heliocentric model is bullshit is money makes the world go round. And isn't it so? Isn't it so that the legitimacy of that, it does quite the opposite. It qualifies that worldview. If you believe in money making the world go round, then that is literally for them what makes their world spin. It makes what the spin zone, the whirling, by them saying, hey, money makes that happen. Because if there ain't money, or if you don't believe in money that way, all of a sudden the world might just stand still. Maybe you should watch that movie, The Day the Earth Stood Still. Christine Whitehead, why'd you ask me about Greenland today? Because I was watching a few videos on Greenland and how it really doesn't exist in the way that, once you flatten the Earth map out and you look at where Greenland would be and what's supposed to be there, it seems so ridiculous. But one of the most funny things is actually Aaron Dover was talking about making a web page that was about Greenland, and he said he got no friend requests. He was just putting out there, like, could someone from Greenland please request to be my friend? And he would never get it because it links up to where they live and shit, and nobody lives in Greenland. Like, the number of people on that sheet of ice, wherever it is so minuscule that it's a made-up fabrication. And another friend of mine had today said to me that I should start a Google Drive page. What does she call it? Where like I can make a page and you all can add to it, and just to basically make a list of all of the bullshit we've been told. Basically like the lies the teachers told us, infinity version, where Like, what is it that we can collectively see? Like, here's some bullshit. What are the major ones? Like, everybody's got, you know, their top 10, but let's like really dig into it. We start to look in like all of the funny shit that we're just sold on a day-to-day basis that is nowhere near the truth. And most people don't dig deep into the human body and the human experience because they don't get into all that. They like to isolate themselves to say, oh, we're anti-government, but they're anti-government, but they love the pharmaceutical companies. You know, there's always that kind of weird thing that goes on people with people. And it's usually due to somebody in their family working in one of those institutions where that's their hero. But yeah, the dome is living waters. Okay, y'all, I got 5% on this phone, so I'm gonna get to the end of this here of what y'all said, and we'll kick it over to the other broadcast. So don't talk anymore. What's up, Daniel Benson? What up, Junior Smooth? Yeah, did you get? Well, yeah, Aaron Dover, but the person, JR Smooth, rewind the video. It's called Enslaved by No Media. Check that out. Don't clean out your earwax so the frequencies don't penetrate. That's interesting. Yeah, there you go, Firefang. Your body is the water distiller, and I have a larger thing, as I was talking about earlier, that I wanted to dig into with you. You know, really get into about how the body really functions. I mean, I did that long video for everybody on the basics of the three functions of the body: the electrical, the skeletal, and then the blood plasma. So working within the threes, but there's something a little deeper. And it has to do with how your blood is turned into plasma ultrafiltrate, and also has to do with your lungs and pressurizing your system, and how air compression works. That should be fun for you guys. What up, Aldrin? Hey, my thing's almost dead here, so anybody that's not. Anybody that I haven't got to, check out I'm gonna get right back on here, guys. What's up, Psalms? I'm glad you enjoy. Yeah, come on my next one. We'll go on a deeper adventure. Ray Nava. Yeah, it actually was another person named Ray. Okay, well. What's up, Proctor? Oh, you see the Kung Fu Knowledge? Yeah, we on a Kung Fu Knowledge tour. Weebu, I wish, it's so funny because it really don't make me happy. I really don't even like requesting that. I just know that the future generations find it a little easier to find the shit, and I do it now because it pissed someone off. Somebody was watching my video that apparently has been around for a while and likes my 5-hour broadcast, but then had the audacity to tell me I was being annoying, and I was like, oh, now you're really going to make me do that every time. So I'm going to get onto this other little broadcast here. Give me a second, yo. Weebu. What up, Jane Doe? Jane Doe, yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. I'll be back on here in a second, y'all. Forever. I'm getting to the end of your comments here. What up, Tyler Makinga? Yeah, come see me on the other side in a second here.